Welcome back to the Football Card Quest. I'm your boy, Andy AC. We're going to dig into eBay tonight and look at the latest sales for Ryan's store, man. We got Ryan Haslett from Rhinoverse coming back on a much anticipated second episode tonight. And we're really going to dig into how to get started, man. He's been ripping. I'm telling you guys what, this guy has not slowed down ripping. Certainly hasn't slowed down ripping. He's going to give us a little breakdown of what he's pulled from the latest optic, hobby, and retail boxes, plus other new stuff that he's picked up. And we're going to talk about how to prioritize all the stuff that he's got, help him get started. And by the end, we're going to have a call to action, a little homework for not only him, but for myself. This is something I struggle with. We're going to talk about one of the biggest struggles as a flipper and talk about, should you sell certain players that may not be on the top of the hype index right now? There's a lot of different variables that go into that. It's a kind of a complex formula. You really have to take a case-by-case basis. And we're going to talk about exactly which variables those are and look at a few cases, examples, and hopefully that'll help some of you guys out there as well that are big-time box rippers that want to get and become card flippers to fuel your PC. So let's dig in.
Ta-da!
Hey, welcome back, Ryan. So you and I have been talking since the last show, episode 1. You were messaging me about setting up the shipping. I think you were making some templates, and from what I remember, you actually sold a couple downtown or a couple downtowns. Was it downtowns?
Yeah.
A couple big cards.
So this year, and these were from Blasters. I've pulled a total of 6 downtowns from this year's series, which just is insane. Like I said before, I don't know what the rhyme or reason was to it was. I knew I found one at one store, and so I just knew that I didn't want to go back to that store because I must have gotten the one from probably that case that store got, and so I always made it a habit to go to different stores to just give me an opportunity. But I pretty much went to each store and found one from each store that I went to. So 6 different stores is pretty much where they all came from.
Man, you are, dude, you are one incredibly lucky dude. So, and those were all based honors, right? Those are based honors?
Yeah. Based honors came out of Blasters. And as someone said the last one, I should have gotten a lottery ticket, but I think I burnt out all my luck on the downtowns. So, touche.
So since then, have you gotten any optic? I know you and I were talking. You said you were going through a couple optic hobby boxes. I think you also got some optic like right as it released into retail. I'm not sure how you do it, but I want to hear your experience from the optic that you've ripped.
So yeah, I was surprised because I kept watching optic, and it was like my guy that has a shop that I work with or deal with, or however you want to say it. He kept telling me that, we were looking for a certain day and it got pushed back. And then, so I was just kind of keeping an eye out. And then I went to one of the Walmarts or Targets in my area. And it was Target, and noticed that they had put out optic. I'm like, these Blasters came out before the hobby boxes come in. And I actually called a couple of friends of mine or texted them and said, have you ever seen the retail come out before the hobby? And I guess that does happen here and there. I don't know why it happens like that, but definitely it happened this time. And it wasn't that many stores that had them out. It was just a few here and there. But then once the hobby box came out, then I noticed that it was a lot more out there. And then I secured 3 hobby boxes, and I used trade-ins to get that. So basically, the store that I work with, they take they'll go through product that I have or I've pulled from different places, and being I'm in Houston, they pull for certain collectors that come to them. So they have certain people that come to them that are maybe like LSU fans, so they're like like Burrow and some of those guys, or maybe they're Louisiana Saints fans, which I can't wait to get rid of them, or even the Texans stuff. So they're looking for product that is going to sell in their store that might necessarily be the most hottest product out there. So it's really nice to be able to get rid of that mid-tier product and trade for opportunities to get new boxes and new current product.
Gotta keep the product being recycled, keep that new stuff, because we see, like, dude, right? I was watching a Brock Purdy optic hollow right before the stream. It ended in auction. I can pull it up. It ended in auction for $50. I felt that was kind of underpriced based on all of the retail boxes that I saw ripped on YouTube. I saw guys go through entire cases of optic blaster boxes and pull very few Kenny Pickett, Brock Purdy, even Desmond Ridder and Sam Howell stuff. All those quarterbacks are relevant from last year's draft class. And I'm like, $50, that's almost the price of a blaster box. Like, why just go straight to that? You know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, but I remember when the product first came out, that same card, and nothing, actually the news has gotten better for Brock Purdy, but that same card when the set came out was like $150. It's like 3 times as much, and it's kind of cooled off. So I know when stuff initially comes out, it's like people do pay a super premium for it right away, you know. And
yeah, to your point, you know, last time you were like, hey, you want to try to push the downtowns from the Donruss base set out first before the optics. So as soon as you said that, it made complete sense. I was like, yeah, I need to try to get these put up. The only thing I have left from those that I do have is a Josh Allen and a Kenny Pickett. Now, the only reason why I probably have the Kenny Pickett is because I hadn't put it on eBay as of yet. I had a couple of folks that were looking at it, but they were coming in really low with their offers. So, and they were trying to work in some trades, and it just didn't make sense on some of the trades. Like trying to trade me for like a Desmond Ridder, which I'm a Falcons fan, but I'm not goofy. So I was like, let's try to make it kind of somewhat even or whatever. And so I'm going to be posting that one up here really soon. But to your point, the only one Purdy that I found was the purple version of it, and that comes out of blasters, if I'm not mistaken. Only the blasters get the purple
shock. Looks like a shock.
Yeah. So, and it's not numbered or anything like that, but I didn't get a lot of Purdy, even the base card. I don't believe. I think I did get a few, but not a lot. Out of 2 boxes, I've opened 2 hobby boxes thus far.
2 boxes. So yeah, definitely a lower print. What about Kenny Pickett?
Kenny Pickett, I have picked up some unique Kenny Pickett ones, and I have a pretty good collection of Pickett because I've found some of his stuff. I'm trying to see what this is this is a cool burrow. This is out of 10.
So, my house now, is that serial numbered at all, or
yeah, it's 1 out of 10. This is number.
Okay, it's a gold.
Yeah, it's let's see, number 5 out of 10, I believe.
Nice hit.
I thought at first I thought it was like a number 9. And I think his number was number 9. But
that's a great card because you've got a player top 3 on my hype index, and it may not be a rookie card, but it's gold, and it's like, man, gold is so popular. That's a new insert too. Maybe a new look. Was my house from? I can't remember if my house was last year. I don't know if any of you guys. I see Jay Van Castle out there, Chad Benjamin, Dominic Fowler finally got alive, Travis House. If you guys know if my house from Optic is a new insert or a returning insert, let me know. But that one looks new.
I love that they have them in that white uniform too. It's so cool.
Oh yeah, yeah, I love that white and black Bengal stripe.
Yeah, and then
definitely not goofy.
I did pull this one. This was a Kenny Pickett.
The first year fresh. Is that serial numbered at all?
This one was not. That one was not. Let me see. I did get some weird ones like the 100 printed DeMarcus Lawrence, some cowboy. I don't know. I don't keep up with the Cowboys.
It's got the little emojis.
Yeah, it's got the number 100 printed on it.
Yeah, he's an edge rusher. I mean, he's not the edge rusher. That's Micah Parsons is the man there. But yeah, DeMarcus Lawrence is pretty solid. Yeah. Okay, so my house did debut in 2020. So not brand new, just a little new look, but it's gold. So you know, with those two factors, I'm guessing that's at least a $100 card.
Here's Rising Star. This is out of 25. It's got kind of like a
Now,
brick-looking
Aiden
background.
Hutchinson is going to be up there, probably top 10. I haven't got my defensive player hype index done yet, but Aiden Hutchinson definitely going to be in the top 10. Very liquid player in the hobby right now.
Yeah, I believe I got some more Kenny Pickett's through here. I just can't put my hands on them right now. But I did get it, and so I got two. Well, there's one per box, 2 autos. The first auto I got was from Kyler Gordon from the Bears, and it's also a 1 of 10 as well.
Is he like a DB?
Yeah, defensive back, I believe. Yeah. So I mean, it's 1 of 10, so that makes it good.
Yeah.
The other one I got is a redemption though. For
bring that thing to the national.
Which one?
The Kyler Gordon. Yeah.
And I got this is the Pickens. I got a Pickens redemption. It's for a rated rookie RPS autograph hollow.
Oh, so are you going to actually redeem that, sell it as a redemption, or exchange the redemption for rewards points?
I would not exchange for rewards points because I doubt, I have a bunch of rewards points. I'm just not probably going to do that. I would like to redeem it, but I have like 4 or 5 things in redemption that I haven't received from like 2 years ago, like some Kyle Pitts and who else was that? I had another decent receive. Oh, Jamar Chase, signed rookie that I just have not received yet.
Wow, that's unfortunate, man. And there was the scandals about Panini selling the redemptions at some show. I guess some people caught them selling some redemptions that they pulled out of the vault, and then there was a bunch of stuff stolen from their office that, I guess it was nothing too significant claimed. Like, I haven't heard a further story about it, so I'm not fully knowledgeable about it. I'm not super active on, following that story. But
I heard something briefly about it, yeah.
It just sucks. It's like, you would think that as now we're in 2023, we're 3 years removed from the initial boom where that really set PSA into a super deep backlog and BGS into a super deep backlog. You'd think that Panini could actually get caught up now at this point with their backlog of redemptions. And if they're having trouble, turning redemptions into the actual cards they're supposed to be, it's like, why not fix that and not give out as many redemptions, and fix that program, because that is just unfortunate.
I've seen horror stories all over the place with those redemptions. I sent in a Bailey Zappi signed RP. It was with the jersey in it as well, hollow, that I got in. It had some scratches on it, and I was just like, "Hey, man, this thing came out of the package with scratches on the top." And so I sent it in, and I was nervous about sending it in because I'm like, "How are they gonna do this? Are they gonna get another?" I guess they could put another sticker on it, but I haven't seen that one come back yet or heard much about that one. But I have seen some of the George Pickens. I've recently saw there was a slew of redemptions that came in for George Pickens. People were saying they got his stuff in. Like on Facebook, I saw people posting that they had received their Pickens redemption stuff in. So I was like, dang. So I might send that in just in the chance that maybe they have them back, have them already ready to go. Because I guess they do the redemption, but they don't actually have the cards, and they're waiting for them to come in and sign it or something along that lines. I don't know.
Or maybe send in the book of stickers that they sent to the player. It's like, hey, we need those sticker autos. We got redemptions to fill. Because from what I've seen, most redemptions are all sticker autos. So
yeah,
I'm guessing that's what it is. And that's why Justin Fields, Jamar Chase had so many redemptions from 2021, because for whatever reason they didn't show up. They weren't able. Maybe they weren't able to. They didn't show up to the rookie premiere. And it's like, well, now we need this book of stickers signed from them. And maybe it's just not like a contractual obligation, or maybe it is, but they're not penalized to the extent to where it really motivates them to sign it, because Justin Fields still has a lot of redemption stuff out there. But Ryan, I'm looking at the Kenny Pickett redemption stuff, and this stuff's going for a pretty penny. This is a Purdy Pickett Ritter out of 25, but this is a Contenders Optic out of 50, Rookie of the Year for Pickett, 800, and then here's one, 399, but it's best offer accepted, so I have to go pull it up. Yours was serial numbered, wasn't it?
Well, are you talking about the redemption I have? That was George Pickens. Same team.
Oh, it's George Pickens. Sorry.
Yeah. George Pickens, same team, but who he throws to.
So see, like, you know what's interesting? I think this is a great topic for us to talk about, when it comes to the hype index and like prioritizing between quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, and deciding when to sell. Because obviously, I know you and I were talking before the show, you're basically at the point where you've got you're even piling up more cards now, and it's like you've got to start get moving, because right when the season starts, or right as the season's starting, is when hype is at the highest for a lot of these players. And what's so interesting is that wide receivers and running backs will spike again in the future, but there's a lot of things that could happen to quarterbacks that they just never recover from. Case in point, Zach Wilson and Davis Mills from last year. Their values are just probably never going to recover from that. It's a possibility they have a little spike again, maybe a little flash, maybe they get a little starting opportunity, because specifically for Zach Wilson, because of the draft capital that he's got, maybe, kind of like Mitch Trubisky getting another shot, on the Steelers. But a lot of cases, they could just flame out and end up like a Josh Rosen, or a Jameis Winston now. There's a lot of quarterbacks that just never come back from that initial failure, that initial flame out. So
the crazy one I'm kind of like got my eye, because I got a bunch of them, is Trey Lance. Like, what's going to go on with him? Like, is he going to go to another team? He's not going to start? I guess we start the season if Purdy can't start, or did they not start him because they don't want him to get injured and ruin their sort of trade capital? And I have a lot of Trey Lance that I just haven't done anything with, because I'm like, I'm thinking that it's going to rebound. So, but I don't know if it will or not, So it's like, do you move it now before that, or?
No, I see. I can't move it now because of his age and his draft capital. People loved him coming out of the draft because of his athletic profile. And, he's still very young, even though you wouldn't be able to tell by his haircut. But still, he's very young. He's very athletic, and he's only played in 4 games total in the NFL. So there's still a very small NFL sample size. So he's going to get another shot somewhere. The 49ers have a lot invested in him, but they saw too much out of Brock Purdy last year to say he's not our starter, right?
What would you do if you're in their shoes, though?
If I was in their shoes, it's going to come down to the wire. It's going to come down to, how good is Brock Purdy looking in training camp? Is the elbow affecting him at all? Like, when the pads go on and they start running those scrimmages, 11 on 11, the first team offense versus the first team defense, they're going to be rotating all 3 of those guys in and out of there. It's going to be Lance, Darnold, and Purdy, knowing that Purdy is their starter. But if his elbow can't function properly and he can't connect like he did the second half of last season, then they're not going to start him, because, see, Kyle Shanahan's a big control guy. He knows he can control the flow of the pace of game with the run game, with his defense. So he's not going to risk turnovers from his quarterback because of an injury if he's not 100%. So I think you could see them put Trey Lance back out there. And if Trey Lance just looks terrible in training camp, then they're going to put Sam Darnold out there if Purdy's not ready. So it could go a bunch of different ways, but I think Trey Lance is going to see what happens when we get to training camp here in another month. When they start putting the pads on, he's going to get reps with the first team offense. He's going to get reps in there, and there's going to be those little films that come out, the little clips, the YouTube shorts, the YouTube videos of the training camp process. And then it's going to be Twitter posts, and there's going to be times where he's trending, times where he's connecting, and times where he's breaking off big runs, or like last preseason before the season started, he threw like a deep bomb to Danny Gray, who's a rookie wide receiver. They drafted down the side, like a 60-yard, 5-yard pass, and his cards immediately spiked and values continued to go up into the season. So I was like, that kind of stuff really creates a lot of buzz. We're getting it right now on a small basis. Like you're getting some of these little clips coming out of OTAs. Guys start showing up, start throwing the balls, but they're not in pads yet. They're just, it's all a bunch of fluff right now. It's just a bunch of they're goofing around out there, just getting warmed up.
Yeah.
But as we get closer, that hype starts heating up, and all of a sudden you start seeing a guy buy for this card, buy this card to make a play based on those reports.
Yeah, it's crazy. You think about like Purdy, and they had to have him practicing and doing stuff. So they didn't see any of his, I guess, what he can do out in practice, and then they could put him on the field, and it was like ta-da. Like some of those folks, that they when they get their average, but when the lights come on, they like change into this like superhero almost. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, he plays good under pressure, and some guys fold under pressure, and it's it's going to be interesting to see who's who this year. So you got all these cards, and we're talking about, where to get started, right? We're just talking about this whole conversation around the San Francisco 49ers quarterbacks, 2 out of the 3 of them very young. Sam Darnold's still young, but there's a lot more unknown around Trey Lance than any of them. Like Brock Purdy, we know they love that kid now after what he did for them at the end of last season, the playoffs, but just quarterbacks in general, just how they have the ability to drive the biggest spikes in card values, especially the young guys, the guys that are very athletic. They check the draft capital box. Brock Purdy doesn't, so he doesn't have that going for him, but he checks the market, right? The San Francisco 49ers have a huge fan base. He checks being super young. He also checks being very efficient, very talented, and leading his team to wins. The one thing I've seen is quarterbacks, when they lead their teams to wins, or they get wins with their team, they don't have to be as good, but if they're winning with their team, then their cards will inherently go up, because people trying to make that playoff and Super Bowl bet, like trying to go for the ultimate parlay, because that's when, like, if you got the quarterback right, any one of them that's in the Super Bowl that year, you're making money no matter what. You're making 2-3x. Like it's hard to screw that up,
Yeah, so that's like when you're looking at what the different things that you're going to put up. It's like, what are you going to try to do? Because like you said, Trey Lance has the potential to have an increase. So it might be something you touch right now, but there'll be other things that you do want to get into right now, because though you might have a good upside when the season starts, you might be at a good spot right now to move some of it. And so that's that fine line that you got to try to figure out what to put up. Real quick, I think I hear this little poach having hissy, so I'll make sure it's not hurt, but I'll be right back in a second before he.
Yeah. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. I think he said a little pooch. That Texas accent. He said he got a little pooch to go check on. So let's hope the little pooch is doing all right. In the meantime, I'm going to pull this up. A lot of graded results are coming back for Brock Purdy. He's still leading the PSA 10 sold results in the past 30 days, with a population now of 528. If you remember, just I think last Thursday night when I was live with Steve, the eBay hitman out in Clearwater Beach, we were looking at these, and it was like 350 or 450, maybe like 450. I had to go back and look at the stream, maybe clip it and compare with this one. Now we're at a 528, but I'm loving this 60% grade hit. That's much higher than the Trevor Lawrence Prism grade hit that I see a couple guys calling out here in the chat. Man, the grade hit on Trevor Lawrence's Prism was just atrocious. I mean, like it's like 10%. So
so that brings up something I wanted to chat with you about, being kind of new to some of the lingo. But yeah, I was saying pooch because we had to get a new pooch for the family. So that's what I was going to check on.
Oh, a puppy.
Yeah. So when you're looking at the you say it, there's a like you're looking at the potential or I guess the percentage of things that come back like a 10. You call it a something level, hit level, or a
yeah, I would call it. We call it a hit rate on.
Hit rate.
Yeah, so like for example, you could look at any of these, but like the hit rate on Justin Fields based on risk. So just the hit rate of getting a PSA 10 or the grade rate, right? We're looking at PSA 10 sold data here.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want to know what are our chances, generally speaking, of buying a raw card, submit it to PSA, having it come back a PSA 10, it's about 74%. That's why I love buying base Donruss quarterbacks, specifically Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, for $5 with the $19 grading fee. I've got upside because I still think Justin Fields' values are have room to grow. You compare that to Trevor Lawrence, but yeah, we're looking at the grade rate of raw to whatever grade it is. So this case 10, and then we can go 9 and say, hey, only 23% of raws have come back 9, and only 2% have come back 8s. I mean, this is fantastic data. Shoot, there may be dollar bins that you find at certain card shows just because people think that these base Donruss rated rookies are commons. Maybe $2 for the quarterbacks. I know it's out there. I've heard from guys in our Discord of grabbing these for just a couple dollars. I see it on eBay, the ability to grab them for $5. So I look for cards specifically that have a high grade hit rate for raw to PSA 10 conversion.
So you're saying, so basically when you're saying the hit rate, you're looking at that card, that particular card, and how often do they come back with it in a 10 or a 9? And so if you see it with a higher hit rate, then you have a better potential, or it might sway you more to send that card off to get graded because it has a better chance than like something else that comes back like a 60% hit rate.
100%, and it even more so drives my buying decision on eBay, because it's really hard to grade a raw card on eBay that you see. So when I'm on eBay and a card looks decent, I'm like, well, the data shows that 74% chance of getting the 10, and the centering I can tell looks pretty good. The corners I can tell looks pretty good. So the only thing I really have to worry about is the surface, and I should be okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it gives you a lot of confidence when you're buying a card, a raw card like that, a base card specifically, because for me on the base cards, it's really, and I'm really focused on quarterbacks, like the high end quarterbacks. When I'm doing that, it's really all about getting the 10, because I mean, the 9s don't even really cut it for me. A lot of times they're decently liquid. They get a little bump, but it's really the 10s where you'll see people they'll shell out the bucks, especially when they get hyped. And
it's a huge change, huge variance in as far as that 9 to 10. It's like 10, you're doing well. 9, it's like a huge jump of how much it changes. And yeah, Voodoo Rage, I'm a Falcons fan, so therefore I'm going to handle up with my Falcons. I wear it very regularly. So if I'm on more and more, you'll see more and more of my Falcons hat.
Yeah, we're a couple NFC South junkies. We'll be hanging out in the dumpster together this year on the quest.
Yeah. I'm hoping Trask, is it? I have a bunch of his stuff that I saved and put aside.
You just had a Freudian slip there and accidentally called him trash. I heard it. I heard it. Everybody out there heard it.
Well, you're calling Ritter trash, so it's all good.
that I am. I'm there, man. I'm there. I honestly think the Cardinal, or not the Cardinals, I don't know why I said the Cardinals. Yeah, the Cardinals are trash too. Speaking, like, got trash on the brain right now.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking about the Panthers. I think the Panthers might win the division. We'll see how good the Saints are, but the Saints just coaching is bad, man. And Derek Carr might be on the decline. So, and that cat Bryce Young is good. So I think the Panthers, they may surprise some people, man. They may surprise some people.
I think you'll be surprised with it. I don't think he'll be a world beater, but I think he's going to do a lot better than you give him credit for. But we'll see.
So in terms of prioritizing who you should sell right now, I think it's safe that, if we had like a call to action for you, and this goes for myself and everybody else out there, like we need to get our cards listed, because even if now is not the right time, like the Trey Lances, I want to have those ready to go, because the hype window for him could be very small. It could be a tweet. It could be a little clip like we talked about that comes out at the end of July and August, beginning of August, that causes that spike that's very fleeting, because then the next week Purdy's running with the ones. He looks incredible. The elbow's good to go, and he's going to start week 1, and all of a sudden then the Trey Lance hype dies down again. And we don't know what the 49ers are going to do with him. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of suitors out there that want to pay that much for Trey Lance and what they spent on him. So, it's a very interesting situation.
Wild. It's such a crazy thing, man. I hate.
But you got to have them listed, ready to go. So that's where I say, but you don't want to list them necessarily for the prices that they're currently selling for, especially not auctions. Definitely do not want to list them for what they're selling for an auction. You want to look at the buy now, sold for the card, but then also go and look at that draft class. So we want to look at Justin Fields, because he's not at the level of Trevor Lawrence. I also want to look at Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is probably a very good comp to look at, because he's got a lot of sold data too, and see what he's selling for, because he's obviously a lower end starting quarterback. There's a lot of ambiguity there. I think 50-50 people are torn on thinking Mac is now undervalued or Mac is going to be a bust. So I think there's definitely still people out there reaching on Mac. So I think it's going to be a pretty good comp, where I think from what I see, there's more people reaching on Justin Fields and way more people reaching on Trevor Lawrence. There's a lot more hype. There's a lot more, I guess, confidence in his ascension this year, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah. I would look at Mac and say, okay, what are the Mac and the Justin Fields cards selling for? I think I could probably sell my Trey Lance for what Mac is selling for in a little hype spike.
Yeah. So, to your hype index, as I was talking about earlier, your hype index shows, which quarterbacks are hyped, or which, you have. I think your number one on it was KC's Patrick Mahomes. I think he's number one on the hype index. And so I was thinking, I was like, well, I wonder which of those I have. And I do have some good ones, good Mahomes cards. I have a 1 of 5, I believe. But then I'm like, well, but that's not really where I would want to probably, focus all the time, because I just have a few of those. So when you look at that hype index, how would you say you would want to choose which ones? Because as you said, I have a lot of product and I just don't know where to start. So I'm trying to figure out of the hype index, how do I pull that data out and see which ones are the best ones to really start with? And maybe I just pick out about 3 to 4 quarterbacks to put up. Maybe I put up a little bit of each position, like a few quarterbacks, a few receivers, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, no, you bring up a good point, because basically what this is showing you is how well these quarterbacks are selling, and how excited people are to own. Like, these are the guys you want to own. So if I was creating a top 10 list of quarterback rookie cards you want to own right now, it would be these guys in the top 10 list here. But at the same time, I need to have another score or a highlight that says proven or unproven. Like, what's the fragility rating here, or what's the confidence level in the player? Like, obviously, like, Patrick Mahomes is clearly on a Hall of Fame trajectory, and you're just as good holding on to his card long term as you are selling it now, right? If you want to make money and you've got profit in the card and you want to cycle that into something else, then absolutely, right? You'll have no problem selling Patrick Mahomes stuff, especially good Patrick Mahomes cards.
And does this data go back about like, is it a 90-day period? Or is it a 60-day period? How far back does the data start?
Well, this is post-draft, so this has been updated post-draft. During the season, it's going to update every week.
Got
So
you. That's good.
right now, there's a certain
That's
amount of production. Like this gold bar is their projected production in 2023, their expectation. The blue bar is the team score. That's the team score. The orange bar is the age score, their age and draft capital score. And the gray bar is their Hall of Fame marker, their Hall of Fame probability. And then the orange bar is their expected or anticipated production in 2023. So you can see like Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young are up here because they're early first round draft picks from this year's draft class. So they're insanely young, they're insanely high draft capital, but they're on the Panthers and the Colts, which aren't nearly at the same team rank as the Eagles and the Chiefs. So you can see like even the Bengals, Joe Burrow would be ahead of Jalen Hurts if the Bengals had a bigger fan base. And you could probably make an argument that after what Joe Burrow has done now, there's a higher confidence level in Joe Burrow. Therefore, there's less motivation to try and push his stuff out the door, to cycle it for new stuff. If you know what I'm saying, where there's a much lower, like the confidence level for Anthony Richardson is insanely low. Like that's a very fragile player to say, plant my flag, I'm holding him long term, unless you just want to go down with that ship if it doesn't go well. Like the chances of him developing into Josh Allen are slim. It's possible, and he's got an absolutely insane athletic profile, but it's going to be, he's got a lot of accuracy issues and he doesn't have a ton of experience. So it's going to be tough, right?
It's interesting. Check out Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. And you would think Purdy be above Lance, but he's actually below him.
That's because of the draft capital of Trey Lance. That's what it is, man. And you actually have
Hall of Fame.
I think I've modified his score to try and bring him up, because honestly, if I didn't, he's got literally no draft capital, but also right now there's not a whole lot of expected production. We don't know what we're going to get out of him, so this gold bar could get bigger. And also he's not a mobile quarterback, so he doesn't have that elite productive upside. Like if you notice, even Joe Burrow, he's sneaky. He's got sneaky mobility. Joe Burrow is very elusive in the pocket. It's one of the things that I think Joe Burrow is becoming famous for, is evading pressure in the pocket and figuring out how to extend plays, and sometimes use his legs. Other times, though, he'll throw the ball. You know, he's got great weapons. So you'll notice that all these guys at the top that are top in the NFL. I mean, it's an evolving NFL, right? Where the hyper mobile quarterbacks that can also throw the ball really well are the best quarterbacks in the league. Like every year, Patrick Mahomes has about 500 rushing yards. You know, he's a great scrambler, and he's very elusive, and can extend plays and then make crazy throws, and that's a big factor. And being so, Brock Purdy doesn't necessarily have that. He relies a lot on that offensive line to protect him and just make good decisions. He gets the ball out quick, and he throws it, and he's accurate. So
it's interesting where two is at too. I mean, with all the hype that was around him.
Yeah. You know, so there's definitely a smaller gold bar. You could make an argument that the Miami Dolphins should be higher of a team score than they are. Very difficult division. And the gold bar has a lot of uncertainty baked in around his physical fragility, right? So if I had to give Tua an injury ranking of how likely he is to get injured, those concussions last year were scary. You know, I think that scared a lot of people. So that's what's pushing him down.
Yeah, and Kyle Murray, his gold bar is longer than some of the other ones that are down there, which is interesting.
Yeah, and so I noticed you point out Kenny Pickett. What's interesting is all these guys in this range are pretty close. So you see Mac Jones and then Kenny Pickett not too far behind him. Kenny Pickett does have first round draft
Mike White.
capital. He's not like super young, but he's like in his mid 20s. He's not, obviously, for a quarterback, it's not as big of a factor, but it's more of like draft class and how many years you've been in the league kind of thing. So it's definitely a factor, but it's not as big of a factor as it is for running backs. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
and then the gold bar is just once again, it's just unproven, man, unproven. We saw a mixed bag from him last year. We do know they brought in a lot more offensive line talent. Hey, this gold bar for Kenny Pickett could be undersized. It could be undersized, like his hands. It could be too small, and maybe we need to make it bigger. Maybe we need to put some gloves on it. Put some gloves on the Kenny Pickett gold bar here and bump him up to the Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson range.
You could put a little like gloves, like symbol next to it. Like some gloves that are just like this next to it that show need bigger hands. But I think Kenny Pickett's you're gonna see it. I think he'll do well this year. I think that first year it was very rough run, but I think he's gonna do good this coming
year. Yeah, we do have guys like Andy Dalton all the way at the bottom still playing. Andy Dalton does have some Hall of Fame clout. He's obviously not in, but he's got notoriety. So I definitely factor in notoriety as part of that. So you'll see guys get little bits of gray bars like Geno Smith last year, at his current age and everything. What he did over that span gives him that notoriety, or what Marcus Mariota did at Oregon, that gave him some notoriety as a number 2 overall pick from 2015. So people still will quickly, sometimes that's enough for people to go quickly back to that well and say, hey, I got to get me some of this guy, and that spike can happen easily based on a starting opportunity. So
Chad was saying Mike White train.
Yeah, the Mike White train. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's on here. He's on here. He should have a little sliver of gray, honestly, just from the singular spike week. I mean, that was the Mike White correlation. The Mike White story was an incredible hobby story from last year that we could all learn lessons from. I mean, backup quarterback potential. Like, look at Jacoby Brissett on the Commanders this year. I mean, that's an interesting one right there. Bailey Zappi is definitely a big one on the Patriots. There's still the Mitchell Trubisky's. They're hiding out there. Whether it's Steve, whether it's my man Brad Nolan, those Mitchell Trubisky truthers are out there hiding around somewhere, and they're going to be ready.
So like they were saying, who said the long story short on this is that the yellow bar or the gold bar is really kind of what you want to look at. And that's kind of the ones you want to try to get up. If you're okay with moving on with them, then get those up, because you're going to probably get your biggest bang right now in the off season versus you probably want to move those first before the season starts, because you don't know what could have come around.
Well, sure. And also look at it this way, like, right. I mean, I don't know. Let's compare it to Dynasty Fantasy, where you draft a player and you're stuck with them till you cut or you trade them, right?
Sure.
And so you've got let's say you've got Justin Herbert here, but somebody is right now willing to give you, let's say, Trevor Lawrence plus a first round draft pick in next year's rookie draft for Justin Herbert. I think that's worth it, honestly, in my opinion. So I guess if you can get profit, so that would be profit. Like, that would be lifetime value profit in Dynasty Fantasy. If you can get profit out of the card that you own, even if it is a Herbert, a Burrow, a Hurts, like, I think that's part of the game. I think that's part of the fun. If you can get a significant profit that you feel is worth your while, why not go ahead and sell that to the next person? Especially if you don't have it like on your wall or in your collection where you really like enjoy looking at it all the time, and you really take a lot of pride in owning it. It's not something that's part of your coveted diehard collection, right? That's part of the game, man. That's part of the game to go ahead and take that profit and then find something new to get into. Find something new, find a new opportunity, find that little nook or cranny in the market for one of these players to get into, because there's so many variables in sports cards. There's so many different sports cards out there. You guys know the common denominators of what makes them valuable, and then you can go and target and like stalk that little, that little sector of the hobby, and you'll get it. You'll get a snipe. You'll get a deal, and then all of a sudden now you're in it for on another player that's slightly different with a lot of hype, and you do it again. And I think that's a large part of the game, man. So yeah, I am an advocate. I mean, that's why I sold my Jalen Hurts optic hollow. I sold my Justin Jefferson optic hollow. I sold my Jalen Hurts Prism PSA 10 because I want to take that and get into other stuff.
Yeah, and I'm big on like I do like moving my my cards and stuff that I have that don't have a lot of importance to me. I love it when it goes to a home that someone really likes that player, really wants them, and you can help someone else out that and you can profit from it to be able to help you get something you really enjoy. I mean, I like doing like that ultimately I would like to have, my sales go that way instead of someone that's just going to turn around and try to flip it for a higher amount, which, kudos to everyone that does different things. But my ultimate buyer would be someone who collects those players and is trying to get something for their collection.
Yeah. So when you're listing them, it's like, yeah, I know this guy's going to have room to go up like Trey Lance. So I want to list it higher than what they're currently selling for. But I also want to leave that guy or whoever is buying it, whether it's a collector or another person who thinks they are going to make financial upside in the car, I want to leave them with the feeling that they do have upside in the car. Like I always feel like the transaction goes better. You have fewer returns, fewer complaints and stuff if you leave that person with the feeling that they have upside, in the card.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Getting a good deal and feeling like you got a good deal is a great feeling. So, you like to get it. And there's a difference between feeling that feeling you have with someone where you worked out a deal where you both sides feel good, or when you actually take somebody, and there's just a different, more fulfilling feeling for me, I guess, when you feel like you worked a deal with someone, they came out happy, you're happy, instead of like just like taking one, I guess, from somebody.
Hey, quick shout out to our man James, James 88 in the Discord. You got to get in the Discord, Ryan. I know you're in the Patreon. He is a buyer for your Cowboys and Saints.
There you go, man. Well, you can call me and I'll make you a deal on all my Saints and Cowboys. They're really stinking up the joint over here, so I need to get them out sooner than later because it's just really making it funky around here.
Julio Figueroa, what's up, man? He says, do you guys think Joe Burrow will stay hot this season? Ryan, what do you think?
I do. I think he's just got, I think his potential. He's one of those guys. He's like a blue chip stock, if you will, that's gonna be there.
100%, man. 100 freaking percent. Joe Burrow's gonna ball out this year. And it's MVP candidate for sure.
And I'll say your advice on the listing too, where you list it as a buy it now, you have it to buy or to purchase immediate, or the transaction happens immediately, has been great. That has taken a lot of the guesswork out of the of selling stuff and made the whole process a lot less stressful, I guess you'd say, rather than thinking, is this guy going to pull out? Is he going to buy it or not? It just makes it a lot better. Now you might shrink the amount of clientele you have, but I think it's a way better way of putting it together on eBay.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too, man. I like the ability to say require immediate payment. Like that's a big one for me. And you can only do that in a buy it now, from what I've seen, unless they've recently changed that. And I like to be able to set my price point and just set it. So like, yeah, I do want to flip the car. Like I do want to take profit in my Jalen Hurts, but I'm not going to put it to auction and force a sale right here and now, or whatever card it might be. Like my, this Brandon Ayuk PSA 10, for example. I'm not going to force a sale on it. It's a pretty card. I like it, but I am going to sell it for a profit because I got it for a very good deal. I got it for about $40-$50. And so I'm going to list it and buy it now. I'm going to take an eventual profit on it. If it has to sit there for 6 months for me to do that, then that's okay. That's part of the game as well. And that's why I say start your buy it nows, because you want to get like momentum and success building on your eBay store. So you start with those quarterbacks, the young ones, based on the hype index that you have profit in, like you pulled. You start with those guys and you list them in a buy it now accordingly, and then you kind of like move on from there. I'd say it's also really important to have a lot of like secondary that go wide receivers. If you got a lot of super young running backs, like go based on height adjusted speed score. I can put out a list for you guys in the Discord. When I come out with my 2023 fantasy football draft kit that I'm working on right now, I'll put out a list in the Discord that's filtered by height adjusted speed score for running back. Basically, any guy that runs a sub 4.4, Ryan, can pop off in training camp. He gets an opportunity with the first team. He breaks off a 60, 70-yard run in training camp. People automatically, they want to parlay that. They just naturally want to parlay that, because what happens, you'll see all of a sudden he was going in the 10th round. Maybe he was a 15th or 20th round running back, like the end of drafts, not even being drafted. All of a sudden, now he moves up to the 15th. Now he moves up to the 10th. At the same time, he's moving up fantasy draft boards to earlier rounds.
Yeah.
People are making buys and plays on his rookie cards, because that's how big the market is now. And it's just a natural parlay. It's a further bet that people can make that has a little bit more statutive. You have a little bit more liquidity and return. Like, right, it's hard to win a fantasy football championship in a lot of leagues. It's hard to do because you have to play good all season long, make the right decisions, and put the squad together. And then when you get to the playoffs, you can't make any wrong decisions. You got to push through and get the championship. Whereas with the card, I mean, heck, if you don't sell at the beginning of the season, you can sell it at any week during the season, or then the playoffs. And then there's free agency next year. And maybe it's a guy like Brandon Ayuk who's going into a contract year, who heads into free agency. The 49ers can't afford to bring him back. He walks. Now he goes somewhere. Maybe it's the Chiefs. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? He goes somewhere else. He gets a big contract because he's a very good player. All of a sudden, immediate spike, like 2x spike. So you may have to hold it for a year. It may be listed to buy it now for a year. But if you kind of check in on it every now and again and make sure that it's where you want it to be, and you're content, and it's not tying up a lot of your bankroll to go and get into other cards that you feel are undervalued, then, just leave it, and it'll sell.
Yeah. D-Hop's one of those ones. I wonder what's going to happen with his stuff, because he's just out there floating. There's weird how there's some really high-end players out there just kind of sitting out there floating around. But one of the things I was hoping we could kind of look at before we get too much later here was the shipping stuff. I worked on some shipping things, and there was a couple of things. I think I got it all lined out, but I didn't know if you had like a template that you use for the shipping, or you kind of have like your normal, like here's what you do when you get to the shipping. I got shipping is so very important. I think you have to get it out on time. It has to be put together really well, so that it makes there in the same shape that it leaves. And I got that down. I built that knowledge around with comic books, because comic books can be very difficult in shipping, and they're get dinged up so much in mail, and cards are a little bit easier to get there and back, but you got to make sure you do it right.
Yeah. And a lot of people are like, I do free shipping. I don't provide. I'm saying a lot of people out there I know feel that it adds a little psychological boost to your listing if you offer free shipping. My only thing is, if you do offer free shipping, if it's a card valued over $20, you should always be using a bubble mailer with tracking, which is going to cost you, whether you print it out directly through eBay, which they make it very easy to do. And it's the same as if you were to go to USPS.com even, or pirateship.com, some of these other very good shipping services that allow you to print those labels out. It just makes sense to do it right through eBay. You're getting the same rate. It's lower than retail walking into the post office. The rates have recently gone up. I charge just for the shipping label itself. So most time I do $3.85 or $4.15. I think I just keep it at like a flat $4 or $3.85. I don't charge for the bubble mailers because I recycle those from the ones that I get in. I just use those to ship back out. And if not, like I have gone to Sam's Club or Costco, and they sell bubble mailers there. You can get a giant stack of bubble mailers. You can get a giant stack of envelopes for like $10. I mean, it's like, the jars of mayonnaise that I'm telling you, if you got little kids, Costco or Sam's Club, it's going to save you a ton of money in diapers, baby wipes, the whole 9 yards, toilet paper, the whole nine. Like get that stuff in bulk from those places because I mean I get the membership there is less than Amazon Prime too. It's worth it, man. It's worth it.
Yeah, we definitely utilize that. I used to do the recycling a lot with the mailers for comic books, but I haven't purchased that many cards from eBay or from other places. And since all my stuff is basically from opening boxes and whatnot, that I had to get me some mailers, and I did save the ones that I did have, and just make sure that you pack it right. Now you gave me the little blurb that you put on the bottom about the one touches, and it comes with the one touch or what it doesn't. And I have the ones I've shipped thus far, just because it's been downtime, it's a higher end product. I wanted to ship it in a one touch. But then I got to thinking that in a one touch, they might be able to move around in there inside that one touch to the mailing process. Do you think that's still a safe way to ship it, or would you feel better putting it in a top loader?
And a top loader. If the one touch isn't sealed from like a breaker or panini, then I would take it out of the one touch, unless it is like maybe it's a fat chunky RPA that I just don't have a top loader to fit it. Otherwise, I agree with you. There is a little wiggle there. I don't think it's enough to cause any significant damage in the card. But
it's like
I do think,
yeah,
man, I do think that I do think it's obviously going to be safer in a penny sleeve inside a top loader, sandwiched between two things of some good cardboard. And now, I mean, yeah, you can buy that stuff too, or I cut up the diaper boxes I got from Costco.
Yeah.
After the diapers come out, I cut those suckers up and use those for my squares. It's good, thick cardboard right there, man.
Absolutely.
And recycle all that stuff. And I mean, I'll tell you what, it's super reliable, safe way to ship, and you get tracking with that label. And that's why I say anything over $20, you should ship it that way, and just it's a pass-through fee. I pass it through. I know some people, they charge for their shipping materials, and I'm guessing those people are shipping out a ton, and they're accounting for the tape and the printer ink and the paper, or the label. If they've got a label printer, some people actually invested $150 in a Dymo label printer, and they're using, and it just comes out a sticker and they slap it right on. I don't do that. It takes me an extra 30 seconds to cut out a label and tape it on. But then you do, you have to get the packing tape and the painter's tape. I use that stuff for other things as well. So I don't ever pass that through to or make I don't sell enough to really go through a ton of that stuff to where I need to charge people for that. So I just like pass through that. And then everything under $20, it's all 1 ounce eBay standard envelope. I take advantage of their standard envelope program. Once again, I got a big box of envelopes from Costco, and you can put like 2 cards. And this is where I think card savers, or they're called card savers, or like the semi-rigids that you would use to submit cards to PSA. I think that this is where those come in super handy, because they're very flat, like top loaders have like, like a card saver 2 or a semi-rigid. Let me see if I got they're very flat, like they're very you can fit them into an envelope with each card in an individual card saver. I can fit like 2 or 3 cards in there and still be under 2 ounces. And so I'm still only charging them like 73 cents for shipping or whatever. It's 63
Yeah.
cents for the 1 ounce, and you can do like 2 cards that way with in 2 card savers if you want, or 2 cards in 1 top loader if you want. Put it in the envelope. I even talked to a postal worker. There was a postal worker that commented on our channel that back whenever I made the eBay selling on eBay like a pro video, that said, you know, the do not bend stamps, the fragile stamps, don't do anything.
Yeah.
They don't even look at that.
I think they
What
even
they
do rougher on those. I think I've even heard.
what they do look at is non-machinable. If you, and it's not a guarantee that they're gonna look at it, but he said the best stamp that you can get, the best thing you can write on your eBay standard envelope to help it not get eaten up by a card or a letter sorting machine is to write non-machinable on there. So that is definitely a little pro tip for you. And they sell rubber stamps. You get a little stamp off of Amazon for $5 that says that, or you can just write it. I write it on mine. I just write non-machinable on the back. I don't know if it does anything, but I haven't I've got very few. You know, I probably haven't sold nearly as many as some of these guys in the chat. So please let us know if you guys sold. I probably sold 40, 50 cards that way. Maybe had 2 that got lost in the mail that had a refund. But the beauty is it was a under $20 card. So it wasn't a big deal. I'm like, that sucks. All right. You know, it's like,
I see some folks in the chat saying they use a penny sleeve inside the one touches. And I was curious about that. I've tried to actually do that for my own personal collection, where I've kind of cut the one touch around using an X-Acto knife. But still, I don't know if it's a really good fit, if it's a really, you know, if it allows for like error, you know, or it could be not, maybe it could come open or something. But
yeah. I mean, if you're really
like the inside,
that's
probably a non-pro.
Travis is a comedian, man. Travis is a comedian. Yeah, if you're really like clamping that thing down with the painter's tape and sandwiching between 2, you know, good pieces of cardboard, I mean, you're going to be fine. But I definitely would never open a card that's sealed by Panini, because you lose value on it, or even sealed by a breaker. I don't want to mess with it, because I think that's part of the allure that causes people to pay more for a card when they're sealed like that.
Yeah, it's got the seal. Do you tape the top of the opening on the top loader?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I tape I do tape, especially when I put it in a plain white envelope. I do tape the top of the top loader. I even like to do that. I go ahead and do it whenever I list the card. So like this Jalen Hurts Phoenix, I've got it over here because I know I need to list it. I've got a stack of cards I have not listed on eBay. Bought a lot of cards. So I once I list this on eBay, then I'll put the painter's tape over the top of it like that, and that's how I know that it's listed. And I'll put it in my box over here that is like a big card box. It's got the dividers in it. I know you've got a bunch of them, and then I put it in there behind the tab that has his name on it. And so that's how I know it's listed on eBay. And then when I sell it, it's easy for me to grab it. I'm not looking too long for it. It's boom. I can really print out the label and then grab it, package it up in less than 5 minutes, and drop it off on my way to the store. I am upset that USPS, I used to be able to drop it off at their box at the street, and they put, I don't know if they've done this in your area as well, guys, but in my area, they've got all new boxes. You cannot put padded bubble mailers in the box by the street anymore. It's only got a slot big enough for a plain white envelope, which leads me to my next point, because I've had this question. People have asked me, can you drop your plain white envelope in your mailbox out front of your house? And my answer is yes. Why not? It takes a little bit longer. Yes, it's going to take about an extra day, but in the sorting process. But yeah, you can absolutely, especially if you're shipping it out from your house as the return address.
I have yet to use an envelope to ship things out. Just I could do because they've been higher end products, but maybe on some of the more cost efficient products, I might do the envelope. It just makes me really nervous because I want people to get the card that they ordered in the right shape. But this is kind of mixed up. But I'll have to try that out.
The envelopes are cool. They're like a they're a fairly rigid, very light but very rigid brown cardboard.
Almost.
Yeah, they're cheap. They're cheap. I actually pull them up while we're talking. They're cheap, and I've gotten them a few times. And I mean, always a great experience with envelopes. Just great PWE product right there. I'm gonna pull them up. eBay. Yeah, the envelopes. Let's see. There's they even got them advertised with cards in them. So yeah, I do like the envelopes.
Oh, that's cool.
You may have seen them.
I have not seen that.
Super cheap, but it's like a nice rigid cardboard that's got, yeah. It's got.
Where'd you get those at?
It's even more rigid than cardstock.
Do you have to get them off of what is that, eBay, or is it?
Yeah, no, this was just the first link. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you can find them. Card shells. I bet you could probably find them on Amazon. If you type in envelope on Amazon Prime, that'd probably be what I do, and see what you find, because so Chad says card shells. Chad likes card shells.
Card shells. What is that? Is that a place that sells a shipping product?
Yeah, I think envelope is a brand of envelope, and I think there
Card
is.
shells?
Yeah, so here's 50 count for $8.99, 600 count case for $80. Well, if I bought that, I mean, I would. I mean, that would take me forever. I probably am just now going through a 50 count.
Well, I say that, but I have, man, a ton of cards to move. I have so many cards.
Yeah. Once you get them listed, and see, that's the thing. Like, and this is my call to action, because right now there is no better time to get these cards listed, and that's to get them listed. Try out a couple different methods, but I'm telling you, man, I got to shout out my guy Jay Van Castle. He taught me this method way back when. I tried out a bunch of different methods, did a video on it, but the best method that I find is start the listing on eBay. So like this Jalen Hurts, for example, I am going to get it listed now, even though, like I said, no rush to sell it. It's rookie, it's serial numbered, it's like a green Phoenix Prism. But what I'll do is I'll use the web app to start the listing out. Like I'll find the 2020 Jalen, Hurts.
Find it.
Phoenix. Find it on here in a sold format. This one I have is numbered out of 99. So I'll go to the sold and I'll find one similar. It doesn't have to be the same one, because it's going to be hard to find the same one, especially the more rare stuff. But I'm just looking for something that's similar, and I'm looking for something that's not graded, like a raw one. Like even this one for me is fine, but I'd like to ideally find the one I have so I know what it's selling for. You know what I'm saying?
When I look through these, I try to find my particular card, but then if there's multiple ones, I'll try to find the one with the highest price, and I'll try to use that one, because I feel like that maybe there was something that they wrote in there or wrote on the description that would that pop. Maybe that made that one pop, or the one that has the most bids on it, because maybe there was something that triggered it to show up in people's feeds better or something like that. Just even spacing or something,
Yeah. Very interesting. So, okay. So there's my card. It's actually, I guess it is orange. Out of 99. Here's a PSA 9 that sold for 53. This was June 4th. So I know from looking at the condition of this card and knowing the gem rate or the hit rate of PSA 10 on 2020 Phoenix, just from experience of looking on our app, has a very high hit rate. So I'm going to sell this for $60. I'm going to list this for like $60 to $70 because, like I said, I'm not really in that rush to sell it. As I have depleted a lot of my Jalen Hurts stock, but I do want to sell it. Like, I'm not going to price gouge and list it at like 140 and think that I'm going to get that. You know what I'm saying? So I can use the graded one. You can use the graded one right here. You click on the sold listing right underneath it. You see that sell one like this? Oops, I clicked on the actual thing. Well, you could also go to a live listing too, and then right there they just click sell now. And click the button. And this is the quickest way to do it. You skip the photos part. Now, I know you could take photos on your phone and transfer them, but everything I do on here on the web app is gonna show up on the phone app on my phone. So what I do is, like in this case, I'll take the PSA 9 off. Make sure the listing looks good. I like to include the specific number. Some people pay more for the specific number. This one's 63, so it's not
that's cool.
Really anything. You know, but I'll
go. If you do put the specific number and someone's looking for that card and they put the /99, would that card still show up because it has a 63 on it?
I guarantee you it will.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's got part of that in it. And if they put in Jalen Hurts and Phoenix in 2020, it's going to come up because eBay's got a pretty smart search engine and algorithm. It's very much like a social media, you know, type of search engine or algorithm. You'll find it if it's even with the 63. I mean, you could leave it out and experiment, but I guarantee you they will.
So James Wainwright had a good listing tip. So always look at the data that was entered in a sold listing, and picking the one with the most correct data has always been a value for him. So that's another good tip in there.
Yes, and that's ultimately why I picked this one with the that was sold, because it had all those descriptors, because that's what takes the longest, man. Those descriptors. And so that was my sticky note. You guys can all check out Ryan's eBay store, Rhinoverse, RHYNOVERSE, Rhinoverse on eBay. If you want to hold him accountable and maybe buy some stuff for him, help him get going here. He's got very few feedback, but he does take good pictures. I saw that, and he sells good stuff. So
yeah, I saw that. I'll put up some of the fields and stuff that was in the chat. People were some of the things they said they're looking for. I'll be sure to put some of those up so that if help those out there looking for those particular players and whatnot. And then,
for sure.
Here's the downtown if you want a preview of those. So that's what the Josh Allen looks like. The Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. And then here's the Pickett. They are good looking cars. They're cool looking for sure. I don't know. There's something cool about I never really, at first I was like, well, this is like a drawn card, but it's cool. They add all the little things they add to the background. It's they're really unique. And the little, like, the Pittsburgh one has like plants in the background and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. Like all those plants. Bill's Mafia, baby. Yeah. I went to Jason. Do you? I don't know what kind of music you listen to, but I listen to a band from Buffalo called they're not together anymore, but Every Time I Die. It's a really big band. And every time they used to come to Texas, they would do the stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. They'd always do that. It's funny. And then we'd always do the Bills. Let's go Buffalo, back at them. So it's kind of funny.
So here's a couple of additional things, like when we get into nitty gritty. So I put in my little description, my boilerplate jargon. Pricing, buy it now. Like I said, I'm going to do $69.99 on this one. I'm going to allow offers, minimum offer 55. That'll allow people to start negotiating with me. I've had some people that are just man, they just stick around. They constantly message me, asking questions, asking this and that. So a lot of times I end up making a deal with those people. But this, if you have more, like, okay, so this is a great thing. Like, I have a stack of base mosaic Justin Jeffersons. They're all going to be sold on here with PWE, plain white envelope. I'm going to sell them at anywhere between $5 and $10 a pop raw, which is fantastic because I bought them all on Star Stock back in 2020 for, I don't know, it wasn't much. These were Star Stock Bs, so I don't know when I bought them, 2020, 2021, but I bought them for very cheap. Finally got them all back, so I'll sell them on here. I'll offer volume discount. So, I think this is important. If you want to sell multiples, you can also put in your quantity, right? So if you had 15 of these,
the volume discount would be on that particular card, not from your store, correct?
Right. This particular card. So it only applies to this particular card of quantity.
Gotcha. I wanted to make sure.
But now that I'm saying that, I had this on one. I was thinking about it in terms of multiples of cards on the same listing, but this is still on, even though I have this on quantity one. So this, if this is on quantity one and you have this turned on, this is applicable to your whole store. And so you would have to have this button turned on for every item in your store that you would want the discount to be applied for. Like if it's part of that program. So basically it's a volume pricing program you can have on your store. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Which is a pretty cool cool concept. Actually, I should go back and turn that on for a lot of cards because I mean,
yeah. I wonder if you could turn it on for your whole store.
That's a great question, man. I'll have to do, and that's going to be some homework for me, for sure.
My call for the next show was to get things listed. Was there a certain number, or were you trying to? Got with the homework. I'm kind of anxious to get to my homework.
Yeah. So my homework for you is to list 100 cards.
Oh wow!
And
okay.
I think you should do a variety. I think you should do definitely some guys at the top of the hype index. They think are some decent cards that you think you can sell pretty quick, for a profit. That's very important. And then like diversify it and then play with a couple, throw some skill position guys in there that you think are going to spike in training camp. Throw some guys in there that you may not be rushed at all to sell. Maybe like your Trevor Lawrences, your Justin Fields, your Burrows, your Jalen Hurts, that kind of stuff. Maybe throw a couple of those up there, and then see how many wide receivers and running backs you can throw up there based on the hype index. And what I'll do is I'll put out that list for running back in our Patreon. On our Discord, filtered by height adjusted speed score. So regardless of their draft capital or I'm going to filter by age too. I'm going to have age and height adjusted speed score because the younger they are, and with that speed, that they'll have the spike. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And then like based on that list, you can just start listing. It's also important to consider what team they're on a little bit, right? I mean, like you want to list guys that are on the Patriots, like your Pierre Strongs, for example. I know you got some Pierre Strong cards. You got some good ones. Get those suckers listed, man. Get those on there before training camp. The Patriots, I just saw today, they waived James Robinson. So now it's back to definitely we're going to see some Kevin Harris. We're going to see some Pierre Strong, and Ramondre Stevenson is their RB1. So, but Pierre Strong is going to have some opportunity to flash. He's got a very kind of James White-esque type profile. So I'm guarantee you there's going to be some collectors out there that want to buy his cards and could spike. So,
all right. Yeah, I'll definitely try to get those up. And I got some defense, like some Adrian and some Sauce.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. In terms of defensive, Aiden Hutchinson, Sauce Gardner, Kayvon Thibodeau, Micah Parsons. But specifically guys, yeah, man. If you've got guys like that, You know, definitely got profit in those guys. You've been ripping them. Get some of those listed too, and then we'll go through. I'd like to go through your store of 100, and we'll kind of purvey it. We'll purview it, whatever. I don't know if I'm saying that word right. And yeah, we'll go through there. So I'm setting up my shipping. Done shipping on that. That's where I would change my shipping. So
flat rates and costs. You did.
Yeah, you can change the service, or you can leave it this service. I changed to flat $4, or even, you know, I'll make it a little bit more appetizing, $3.99. International shipping, I don't ever use preferences. This is where handling time, I pretty much accept returns, no. But this is where on the app it'll say require immediate payment.
Yep, I'm all about that immediate payment for sure.
Yeah. So promote it. I don't ever really do. I know some guys have a little bit of success, but
I've never done the promoted thing yet.
You know, it's been hit or miss for me. Really, I've never really. There's the payment, require immediate payment. That's checked by default. So there you go. And so what I do is I click save for later. I click save for later, and then I go open the draft on my phone, and finish it. There. Yeah, you open the draft on your phone, and everything's done. All the stuff that's tedious to do with your fingers, you know, may be easy for Kenny Pickett because his fingers are so small. But you know, most of us are fat fingering stuff over here.
Yeah, and, I got fat fingers for sure.
And it's just so much easier to do on the computer. And then you open that draft up on eBay, take the pictures, and click list, and you're done. Boom.
So a lot of the stuff that I sell, I will try to keep at least a few cards, couple, 2-3 cards, just for PC in case they end up spiking and going absolutely buck wild and everything blows up. What would you say the 2 or 3 series of cards you would keep for rookies?
2 or 3 series of
like,
cards,
dude, like your Prism or your Select or your Optic. Like me, I always say, I'll try to keep at least an Optic, try to keep at least a Select or something along the lines.
Yeah, I would definitely like Select is one I would try and flip right away off of that new product release. It just Select hasn't done even as well, and from what I've seen in a lot of cases as Mosaic. I almost think in a lot of cases now, like 2021 or 2020 and more ultra modern, in a lot of cases, Mosaic is even more popular than Select. So I would say
it was like a
Optic, especially Optic autograph stuff. Keep some of that, and any of your like Optic contenders, rookie ticket autos, Prism autos, short print Prism serial numbers, and Prism silvers and Optic hollows. You know, Optic hollows,
like the black and white kind of looking.
Oh yeah, because a lot of guys know those are even more rare. Yeah, those are even harder to pull. Those are great cards right there. Definitely.
Remember those.
Super popular, you know.
Cool. Well, I'm stoked. I'm ready to get my 100 cards listed, and see how it looks when we get back to it.
I'm gonna do it too, man. I'm gonna do another fastest way to list 100 cards. I've had a couple guys reach out to me with a couple of their methods as well. If you guys want to post, we have a eBay tips and trick channel in our Discord as well. Check it all out. Patreon.com/footballcards. I'm going to try a couple new methods as well as my method that I learned from Jay here last year, what I just showed you guys. And we're going to do another 100 cards and see, and then we can we'll review them. I'll be back on here in a week or two.
See if anyone else in the chat takes the challenge and does a 100 card. Well, I'm sure a bunch of people probably have way more of that already up, but see if anyone does it in the meantime.
Yeah, and I need to do it, man. It's not only going to be we should have a race in the Discord, and we can hold each other accountable in there. Because we've got channels for posting up our eBay stores and all that kind of stuff, flips of the week and all that kind of good stuff. So we can hold each other accountable in there, and that way we'll get it done. When's the deadline to post 100 cards? We should create a hard deadline. We should say honestly, realistically, what should we say? 2 weeks?
2 weeks is probably doable. Yeah, I'll just figure out a time of what I need to do each. And I'm setting up a little like staging area that I'm gonna be able to go to and just replicate the pictures pretty quickly. So I've got the idea, like very similar to like the ones that are already on there. So I can just go through and just pop them out really quickly.
So let's say by June 26th, in 2 weeks, Monday night, you and I will be back on here to review the 100 cards. It's 2 weeks, Ryan. You think we can do it?
Hey, I'm down if y'all are down. If y'all want to do it, I will do.
I'm going to do it.
Is a 100 card bulk listing got it? He's like bulk listing.
Little do you know, I have 35 Jonathan Taylor rated rookies and 42 Justin Jefferson base mosaics.
Scratch here.
There's 77 of my cards. I'm gonna list with it. No, I'm just joking. No, yeah. I got a bunch. Look, dude. I just got this. I finally got another order in from Star Stock. This is the rest of everything that I had on Star Stock. I'm pretty sure most of it, because they had a little announcement that they were going to start charging me for
those cards I have back behind me.
So 100 is just like a fraction of that. So the least we can do is 100 in the next 2 weeks.
It'll be fun to see. So yeah, everyone be honest. We'll do it on the honor mission or whatever you call it. And do if you don't do 100, at least tell us what you got. And for everyone you're missing, it's 1% discount for each one you're missing.
There you go. There you go. Yep. And a Star Stock box reveal coming later this week too. So
awesome. Yeah.
Good show tonight, Ryan.
Yeah.
I had fun.
Really fun. I really appreciate everyone letting me come on and have a good time with everybody for sure.
Yes, sir. We will see you guys next time. Happy hunting out there. Peace.